everyone, this is Ankit Jain. I welcome you all to my channel Tech Journey with Ankit. This is part 2 of our Salesforce Connect series. In the part 1, we discussed about what is Salesforce Connect, what is external object, as a developer when you should go for the Salesforce Connect, how to set up the relationships in between the external objects as well. In the last, we also discussed about what all the different adapters Salesforce have provided under the Salesforce Connect. In case you guys have missed that part, make sure you guys check that out because the upcoming parts will be the continuation of the part 1 only. In the part 1, I highlighted that one of the adapters that Salesforce have provided is the cross org adapter. Now let's try to understand the applications of the cross org adapter. So as a developer, you should go for the cross org adapter whenever you want to connect the two different Salesforce orgs. For example, your business is using one of the Salesforce org for the Sales Cloud and another Salesforce org, let's say for the Marketing Cloud or for the B2B Cloud, right? Now your business wants to bring the data from your B2B cloud into your sales cloud, or the vice versa as well. How you can bring that data, as we discussed in the part 1, rather than we go and copy that data from one org to another org, with the help of Salesforce Connect we can enable the data virtualization. So virtually can we access the data from one org into another org? An answer to this is the cross org adapter. With the help of these adapters, the different orgs can interact with each other, and they do that with one of the key ingredient, that is the external object. At the back end, basically they are making the REST API call, but as a developer you do not even have to write down a single line of a code. This is simply a point and click tool which you can enable to have the integration in between the two different Salesforce orgs. How to connect these two different orgs now? For that, there are certain steps that you need to follow. The first thing, again, that we also discussed in the previous session, whenever we are working on the external object, first we need to go and create the external data source, right? So here, first thing that we have to do here is we have to go and create the external data source. And once the external data sources are created, then we have to go and create the sync in between them. To do that, let's navigate to the org now. So here I have two different org. One org I am calling as a home org, and I do have another org which I am calling as an external org. What we have to do here is from the external org, we have to bring the data and we have to display that data in my home org. So the first step that we have to do here is in my home org, I should go and set up the external data source. So what we have to do for that, under the setup, here we have to go and look for the external data source. Here we have to go and look for the external data source. Now here you should go and create the new external data source. You can give any name to the external data source, is completely up to you. Here I am giving the name as an external org. External org type. As we discussed in the previous session, there are different ways to connect, but for Salesforce connection, out of the box adapter that we do have here is the cross org adapter. So here I am using the cross org adapter. As soon as we are using the cross org, few additional parameters will come up where it will ask you whether you want to connection whether you want to do the connection to the prod URL, or you want to do for the sandbox or any pre-release URL, or you do have any custom URL. So here you can go and specify that URL, specify the API version as well. You can specify the maximum timeout. By default, the maximum timeout available here is 120 seconds. You cannot specify any value greater than 120 seconds here. Another flag that you do have here is the enable search. If you check this flag, then and then only you can make the social queries on the external objects. Another key point that we do have here is the writable external object. Here we have to go and check this checkbox. If we check this checkbox, we will be able to modify the external records from our home org as well. Now the next thing that we have to do here is we have to go and define the authentication parameters here. Here for the authentication, I am using the identity as the name principal, and under the authentication protocol, we do have the two options. One is referred as the OAuth 2.0 and second one is the password authentication. The recommendation from the Salesforce here is we should always go for the OAuth 2.0. In case you guys are going for the password authentication, then here you have to go and put your username, and the password you have to put as your username password and followed by the security token. So there are two things that you have to put in your password. First, you have to put the password for this username, and after that you have to go and put the security token. Next, here for this demo, we will be going for the OAuth 2.0 because this is the recommendation from the Salesforce. Whenever we are selecting the option here for OAuth 2.0, basically we have to go and define the authentication provider. So here I will go and create the new authentication provider with the help of which we can make that connection. For that, again, I am navigating to the setup menu, and in my setup menu, here I go and search for the auth provider. Here I am selecting the option of an auth provider. Here there are different types of auth provider that Salesforce is again providing out of the box. The kind of a provider that we have to use here is the Salesforce because we are connecting to the another Salesforce org. So here I am taking the option of the Salesforce. You can give any name to your provider. Here I am giving the name as external org provider. Now the next thing that you have to go and define here is the consumer key and the consumer secret key. You will get these keys from your external org to the org that you are connecting. There you have to go and create the connected app. In that connected app you will go and define both authentication as well as the authorization. So for that I am navigating to my external org. In my external org, here you have to go and search for the app manager, and under the app manager you have to take the option of new connected app. So take the option of new connected app here and feed all those details. For example, here my connected app name here is connected to the source org, right? Let me give the name here as connect to source org, right? And after that you have to go and put your valid email address. So here I am putting my valid email address. Here make sure that you are putting the valid email address because the verification code will come to this email address here. After that, rest of the things are optional. You can definitely skip that for now. And here for the authentication purpose, you have to go and specify the enable the authentication setting. Here if you are enabling this, basically it will first ask you to go and put any callback URL. For the time being, you can definitely go and put any dummy URL there. So here I go and put some dummy URL. Make sure that you are putting that URL in the form of HTTP only. So here I go and put that HTTPS URL, and after that here you have to go and select what all different scopes are applicable. For the as we are on the demo, I'm giving the access full access here, but whenever you are working for the business, you have to understand which access are applicable as per your business requirement. Here I am giving few additional access of manage user data and also the extending the access of the refresh token as well. Once you have selected your OAuth scopes, again we are not using PKC authentication, so you can definitely go and uncheck this checkbox for now and click on save. Once you have created the connected app, Salesforce will take around 10 minutes to make it effective. So you can click on continue for now. And once the connected app is created, basically from your connected app, you will be getting the key information, that is the consumer key as well as the consumer secret key. What you have to do here is you have to go and click on the manage consumer details to get those details. For the demo purpose, I have already created the connected app. So this is my connected app, and here I do have my consumer key as well as the consumer secret key. So what I am doing here is I am copying this consumer key from here, and in my I am putting that under my auth provider. Next thing, I am also copying my consumer secret key from here and putting it under my auth provider. Next thing, again we are not using the PKCE auth extension, so you can definitely go and uncheck that. And here you have to go and define the different scopes. You will get those scopes again from your connected app. So the different scopes that are applicable here, first is the API scope. So here I go and select the scope as an API, followed by the another scope that I do have here is the full, and followed by the refresh token. So here I am selecting all those one after the other. But make sure that whenever you are putting the default scopes, there should be a space in between each and every scope that you are putting. Once you have defined all these scopes here, you have to go and click on save. As soon as you go and click on save, here you will be getting the callback URL. Here you will be getting the callback URL. So you have to make sure that you are copying that callback URL, navigating to your connected app and putting that callback URL here. So here I go, click on edit and putting my callback URL again under the connected app. Previously we have put some dummy URL here. right? Now we have to get sure that we are replacing that dummy URL with the actual callback URL that we are getting from the authentication provider. And after that, again, I go and click on save here. My authentication provider is also ready. Now, again, I am coming back to my external source, and here I am selecting my authentication provider. So here, this is the authentication provider that I have just created on my home org. And here I go and click on save. As soon as you go and click on save, Salesforce will initiate the authentication process. So here you have to make sure that you are putting the authentication as your target URL. Whatever the external or credentials that you do have here, you have to make sure that you are putting those external or credentials under the login. So in my scenario, I do have my external or credential as, where is that? Let me go and type this one, and I'm clicking on login. So by following these steps, now you are successfully authenticated the two different systems. Here it will ask you to allow the different access based on the authentication scopes that you have provided. Make sure that you are clicking on the allow. Now my two org, home org as well as the external org, they are successfully connected. Just to summarize what we have done here, we do have the two org. One is referred as the home org and second is referred as the external org. On my external org, we have created the connected app for OAuth 2.0, and on my home org, we have created the authentication provider as well as the external data source. Now the next thing that we have to do here is we have to sync the information from the external org into the home org. So for that, what you will do here is here you will get click on validate and sync. So if you go and click on the validate and sync here, you will be able to fetch the external objects from that external org. So for example, I need to fetch the account. Just to avoid the conflicts, what I am doing here is, and for my better understanding that we are referring the external account, I am putting here the external as the prefix for the label for the external object name as well as for the plural label as well. And here I go and select this. Like this, I need to go and select the contacts as well. If I'm not wrong, the contacts are available on the page number 5. Let me go and check that. Oh, page number 5, it still have the B. So page number 8. Yep, here somewhere I believe we do have the contact. Okay, here also we have to move forward. Let me move to the next page. On page number 9. Okay, page number 10. Yeah, here I do have the contact, and here I am referring that as an external contact. So make sure that you are putting the correct label so that it will be easy for you to identify. Another object that I like to refer here is the user object. Again, all these are alphabetically sorted, so I'm expecting that it's going to be easy if I navigate from the back. It comes to W again, VU. Right here somewhere we should have the user object, correct? So here what I am doing here is, here also I am naming that as an external user. So we have created this object, and after that I make sure that you go and check this checkbox as well so that your changes will be synced. And after that I clicked on the sync to sync the three different objects, that is the accounts, contacts and user. And from where we are getting those, we are getting those from the external org. Again, it will take some time to sync. If I click this again, yeah, it is taking some time to sync. So let's hold for a minute or two. So after a minute or two, all my three external objects are available here. You can see that under the external objects, we are getting the external account, external contacts, as well as the external user. So if you want to see the details about the external object, definitely you can go here, click here on the external object. The key thing about the external object that we discussed in our last session here is the suffix for the external object is underscore underscore X. The suffix for the external object is underscore underscore x. So these are the different fields that we are getting from those external objects as well, right? And again, if you can have your own page layouts for the external objects, you can go and define the lightning record pages for your external objects as well. The way we treat our custom objects, similarly we can also treat these external objects as well. Now, coming back to the slides one more time. So we have discussed how you can connect the two Salesforce org and also make sure that we are validating and syncing those external orgs as well. Now, this is a quick revision what we have discussed in the previous session, because that's what we have to do here in the upcoming slides. So if you recall, in the previous session we discussed about the external objects relationship. That time I have highlighted that whenever we are working on the external objects, there are two key relationships that we have to keep in mind. One is the external lookup relationship and second one is the indirect lookup relationship. You should go for the external lookup relationship whenever you want to set the relationships in between the two external objects. And similarly, you should go for the indirect relationship whenever you want to set the relationship in between the external objects as well as the Salesforce object. But the key thing here is you are setting that relationship based on the unique key that you are creating on your Salesforce object. So let's move to the demo part. There are different use cases that I have put here that we have to go and validate. First use case that we do have here is, here we have to go and modify the external account record in the source org and make sure that the changes are replicating in the target org. So let's go and try to implement this use case first. Again, if you recall, what we have done here is under our external data sources, we have enabled the writable permission, right, for our external objects. If again, let me show you quickly. Under the external data sources, we have given the writable permission to the external object. With, as we have given that permission, we can definitely go and write the informations or update any external records as well. So let's go here, and first thing that we will do is we will go and create the tabs for our external objects. Like we go and create the custom object tabs. Similarly, you can also go and create the tabs for the custom objects for the external objects as well. So under the object, select the object name for which you have to create the tab. For example, I want to create the tab here for the external account. I'm selecting the tab style here. You can select anything, that doesn't matter. Click on next. Again, the tab visibility, whether the tab should be visible to all profiles or not, I am keeping it default for now. Again, the custom app where the tab should be available, I am making this tab only available for now on the sales app and clicking on save. Right? So I have created my tab on the home org. So let's go and refresh this and check whether we are getting any additional tab here with the help of which we can view the external accounts. Here if I click on more, okay, the tabs is not coming up. We might have to modify the app manager to load that tab. Let me go and refresh it one more time before I go and add it manually. Or rather than rather than we go and add it manually, let's try to open it from here. So here you can see that we do have one tab available for the external account. If you go here and click on all, you can see all the external accounts that are available on my target org. Here I do have this list of accounts, all these 17 different accounts. I can also see it here as well. Definitely, like you can modify, you can definitely go and create the different list views, change this view as well. All the other stuff that you can do with the objects, you can do it here as well. So what we will do here is, for the demo purpose, we will take the one object here. Let me take the object here as the astro, external account as an astro, and we will try to modify this and see that we are the details are actually getting updated in the external org or not. So here I am modifying the account description. In the account description, I am putting as this record is modified by Ankit Jain in home org, right? And here I go and click on save. Now the expectation here is this record changes are should be replicated in my external org as well. Generally it takes some time to replicate, although it's very real time, but it's a REST API. So REST API again, At the back end, it is running a REST API only. Sometimes it might take some time to replicate those changes, but let's go and validate whether the changes are available here or not. So again, under the details, if I go and look for the account description, you can see that in my external org, I can see those changes. So we can say that whatever the records that we are modifying under my home org, the same changes are replicating in the external org as well. Now let's move to the next one. Now, here the business is asking me to confirm the relationships in between the external accounts as well as the external contact. So, what kind of relationships that we should have in between the external accounts as well as the external contacts? So, how you can go and check that? We discussed that whenever the two objects are the external objects, right? Whenever the two objects are the external objects, the kind of a relationship that we do have here is the external lookup relationship. Let's go and validate whether we actually have the external lookup relationships or not. So here I navigate to the external object, right? Navigate to the external contact, and here we do have the relationship. You guys can see that the kind of a relationship that we do have here is the external lookup relationships, because both of them are external objects, and because of this the relationship that we do have here is the external lookup relationship. So as we do have the external lookup relationships here, like under the astro we do have one related contact, right? So the expectation here is if I go and open the astro here, I should also see the related contact here. So the point that I like to highlight here is by default, it is not adding the related list on the page layout. So what you have to do here is you have to navigate to the page layout and add that related list by yourself, so that you can see that you can see the relations in between the external accounts as well as the external contacts. For that, I am modifying the page, navigating to the page layout. For this one you can also navigate from here as well. So that's the easy navigation that we can do. So let me click on the external objects. Here I am on the external accounts, and I do have my page layouts available here. So here I go and edit my page layout for the external accounts. I'll navigate to the related list, and here you can definitely go and add the related list for the external contacts. Let me go and save this, and here I go back, and I should see the related contacts for the accounts as well. Now here if I navigate to the related, you can see that I can see the same related contacts coming up here. So I can say that the accounts as well as the contacts, they are linked with the external lookup relationship. This is the quick assignment that I do have, folks, where I'm expecting that you guys should answer that in the comment section. What is the relationship that we do have in between the external accounts as well as the external user? Based on the field created by, you have to tell me what kind of relationships that we do have, whether it's a lookup relationship or the external lookup relationships or an indirect lookup relationships. Moving to the next scenario, where we have to create the relationships in between the Salesforce account as well as the external account. Now there are two types of account that we do have. One is the account from my home org, another is the account that I am getting from my external org. Now the business is asking me that under my home org account, they also wants to see the external account. And they have also put the information that the key information that we do have, or which is common in between both the orgs, is the account number, right? The key information that we do have available in both the orgs, which is quite common, that is the external account number. So what I am doing here is I am navigating first to my account object, because if you recall, I discussed that whenever we are making any indirect relationship, that can be done based on the unique key. So what I am doing here is navigating to my account object, moving to the fields and relationships, and create a new field here. Definitely you can use the any existing field here, not the standard field but any existing custom field as well. The prerequisite here for the custom field in case you want to use. For example, I am selecting the option of text here. The prerequisite for the field that you have to use, that field must be unique, and also the field should be marked as an external ID, right? With if you have this requirement, you can use your existing custom field as well. So here, let's say I'm creating another custom field that I'm naming as an external account ID, putting all those details and creating the custom field. I hope everyone is comfortable in creating the custom field, but only thing that you have to make sure that the unique checkbox is checked as well as the external ID checkbox is checked as well. I already created this field in my org with the name as an external account ID, external account number. So this is the field with the external ID as well as the unique case sensitive. Now, for few of the records, what I have done here is, if you navigate to my account object, I have populated the external, I have populated the external account number as well. If you go here, click on all accounts under my home org. For few of the records, I have populated the external account number. Okay, let me go and quickly add that in the list as well. So here I go, select the fields to display, and here I am adding the field as an external account number. Again, the key thing about this field here is, in this field you can only have the unique values. In this field you can only have the unique values. Let me add this here and take out the account site which is not required. Click on save. Right, so here I do have my external account number. Okay, let me go and add that for now. So here I do have my external account number, and based on this external account number, and here on my external org, I do have one field as an account number, right? So based on this only, we have to make sure that the records are unique. So here under my external account number, there are multiple records, for example, which holds the key as the something like this, ACC101. These are multiple fields which are having this data. So let's say what my business is saying here is, these are all the child accounts for the account which is having the value same as the external account number. Again, I'm repeating. So Alhab Mighty Master, it is going to be the master record for all the, why it is not modifying. Let me go, and might be the unique, as I said, this is a unique value. So let me go and try to put some other value for now, ACC 150, and here I go and click on save. Now this is coming up correct. I might be using that value for one of the other record. So what business is saying here is, Alhab Mighty Master is going to be the parent record for all these different records that we do have. So here I go and change this for the few of the records, so that all these records which are marked as the ACC 150, these are the child records of the parent record, that is nothing but the Alhab Mighty Master. And business wants to see all these child records based on this common field under the Alhab Mighty Master. So how you can do that? That is our problem statement, right? As per the use case, create the relationship in between the Salesforce account and the external account based on the external account number field. So what we have to do here is, we have to again navigate to the external object, and this time we have to go make sure that we are creating the external lookup relationships. So here you can search for the external objects, and as soon as you search for the external objects, you can see all these external objects here. So now here I am navigating to the external account. Here I do have one field which is named as an account number, but again I don't want to use that field as a text field. I want to use that field as the lookup field, because with the help of this field only, the two objects can be related. So what I am doing here is, I am clicking on edit on this field and changing the field type for this field here. The field type that I am setting for this field here as the indirect lookup relationships. Why indirect? Because I have to set the relationships in between the external objects as well as the Salesforce object. That's why I'm going here for the indirect lookup relationship, clicking on next. Here I'm making sure that I'm selecting to the account. Why you are getting the only account here? Because account is the only object where I do have the unique as well as the external ID field, and that's the reason I'm getting here the field name as an account. The target field is nothing but the custom field that we have just created. Clicking, selecting that, clicking on next, keeping everything as default. And if you want, you can also change the length, but that's fine for now. And I'm clicking on save. And here I go and click on save. Now here you can definitely extend the access. So here let me go and extend the access for all the profiles for now and click on save. So now I have created the kind of an indirect lookup relationships with the account number. So the expectation here is if I go and open this account number, all these related records, they should come as a child. But again, here also we don't have the uh, related list available for that external account. So what I'm doing here is I'm modifying my account record and adding the external account related list. So here I go, navigate to the page layouts. Here I am using the account layout and again navigating to the related list, and here I am adding the related list for the external account. Let me go and drag and drop this list and click on save. So I have modified the page layout. Let me go and refresh this one now so that I can see the external accounts as well. Here you can see that I can see all these four external accounts. How this can be possible? This can be possible with the help of the external lookup relationship. Here what we are saying here is the external account number. It's kind of a unique field which is also marked as an external ID. So whatever this value carries, and here we do have the different records with the account number which we have created as an external lookup. The Salesforce have matched those records and put those four records as a child record for this master. So this is how you can set up the relationships in between the Salesforce object as well as the external objects as well. I hope you folks found this session helpful and got some new learning about the Salesforce Connect as well. Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you. Have a good time.